Hello friends, welcome to Worldwide Books. Our minds often have a flurry of thoughts. We use language to communicate these ideas to others, whether by speaking or writing. Writing is a great way to convey your message to others, allowing you to reach millions. When writing, it is essential to express your thoughts in clear and simple words so that the reader can easily understand your message. If the reader doesn't understand what you've written, then your writing becomes pointless. So, how can you improve your writing skills? This book aims to answer that question. We will explore ways to enhance our writing style and make it more engaging. We will also identify common mistakes that we have been unknowingly making and work on correcting them. In the past, before the internet, newspapers were the primary source of news. Newspaper writers had limited space for their articles, so they strived to convey their messages in as few words as possible while still making their writing appealing to readers, no matter how brief it was. However, with the advent of the internet, times have changed. The old art of writing is gradually disappearing. There is no shortage of space on the internet, and people often use more words without clearly expressing their ideas. Even if they manage to convey their message, they struggle to capture the reader's attention. Today, we find numerous examples of poor writing techniques on websites and news channels. But can this be improved? The answer is yes. Everything can be enhanced over time. If you wish, you can improve your writing skills. It will require some effort and time. If you read the books of any prominent author, you will notice that the earlier works they produced were not as good. However, as they continued to write, their writing skills improved. For instance, take Shakespeare, who was considered one of the greatest playwrights of all time. You can clearly see in his plays that those he wrote later were significantly better than his earlier ones. It is often observed that when we attempt to say or write something in simple words, it can sometimes come off as boring, causing the reader to lose interest. Additionally, we sometimes see that some writers use complex sentences that are not expressed in simple terms, making it difficult for the reader to comprehend. To tackle this issue, you can adopt a few strategies. First, you should understand that using simple words and sentences is not wrong. The purpose of any sentence is to convey an idea in a way that the listener can understand. The writing skills you learn in school help you understand whether your subject, verb, and object are in the correct places. However, if you repeatedly use the same sentence structure, the reader will become bored. Therefore, make some changes in each sentence. Always remember that your sentence should be understandable to the reader. To achieve this, remove any unnecessary words from your sentences. You can also use indexes to improve your writing skills. Indexes are methods that help you rate your article and then attempt to improve it based on those ratings. Let's learn about some indexes. Flesh Reading Ease. This index tells you how easy it is to understand your article. If you receive low scores on this index, you need to write your article using simpler words. Flesh Kincaid Grade Level. This indicates the level of education someone needs to comprehend your article. Dale Chow Formula. This formula indicates how many words in your article may be difficult to understand. When writing, it is crucial to focus on the essential points of your sentence. To do this, first, eliminate the use of passive voice. The passive voice tends to use more words in your sentences, making them harder to understand. Let's look at some examples. If you're writing a story with the sentence, "The king killed the lion with his sword," this sentence is easy to understand. However, if you write it in passive voice, it becomes, "The lion was killed by the king with his sword." This sentence is not as easy to comprehend. However, sometimes using passive voice is acceptable. As mentioned, focus on the essential parts of your sentence. If the hero of your story is Raju, you could write, "Raju was rewarded by the king." The purpose of passive voice is to emphasize the object. In other words, it draws attention to the recipient of the action rather than the doer. In this example, while the king performed the action of giving a reward, the focus is on Raju. Additionally, you should place the essential part of your sentence at the beginning. If you delay getting to the main point after writing a lot of information, the reader will form a vague image in their mind and may not understand it. For example, consider the sentence, "After crossing 2 forests and 3 rivers, dealing with all the difficulties along the way, and losing some of his companions, the prince reached the haunted castle." In this example, the main part of the sentence is, "The prince reached the haunted castle." However, if you write too much before getting to the main point, the reader will struggle to understand what is happening, as they have to keep all those problems in mind. Sometimes, such sentences are very difficult to grasp. During school days, everyone often tried to use complicated words while writing to appear more intelligent. However, using difficult words can confuse the reader. If they cannot understand your message, then your writing becomes meaningless. Whenever a new law is implemented in the country, politicians often write it in the most complicated words possible, making it hard for people to understand, so they accept the law without fully grasping it. If you want your readers to understand your message, try removing adverbs, prepositions, adjectives, and abstract nouns. Let's take a look at the issues that arise from using these. Sometimes, we use adverbs unnecessarily. For example, instead of saying, "He was speaking in a very loud voice," you could simply say, "He was speaking in a loud voice," and it wouldn't make much difference. A writer's job is to convey their message in a way that the reader can easily understand. Therefore, aim to leave no doubts in the reader's mind after reading your work. For instance, instead of saying, "He was very happy," explain why he was happy. Also, avoid using prepositions and abstract nouns unnecessarily. If you can't grasp the essence of something and can't find the right word for it, don't use a word at all. When writing, let the reader know what is happening. Do not focus on what is not happening. The use of not can create confusion in the reader's mind. Instead, use positive sentences. For example, take this sentence, "I don't think he will not do this work at your request." You could instead write, "He will definitely do this work at your request." This sounds better and is easier to understand. Additionally, pay attention to your language. If you are writing a long story, you wouldn't want the reader to get bored. Your writing style should evoke a wave of emotion within the reader. If you write in a boring style, they may not finish reading it. For instance, consider this sentence, "She was shocked to hear about her husband's death." This sentence sounds very simple. To evoke emotions in the reader, you could write it like this. As soon as she heard the news of her husband's death, the belongings slipped from her hands, her eyes widened, and her heart raced. Darkness engulfed her vision. Somehow, she managed to regain her composure and said, "Tell me this news is a lie." Moreover, you can combine various emotions to create a different sentence. You can ask questions in between or send some messages to the reader. For example, if you are writing a ghost story, you could say, "Those with weak hearts should not read further." Using different types of sentences is also beneficial. Sentences can be categorized into 3 types. Loose sentences, which depict conversations between 2 people. Periodic sentences, which present a particular point very effectively. And balanced sentences, which are written in a proper order and convey their meaning clearly. Professor Helen Sword from the University of Auckland was the first to use the term zombie nouns. This term refers to nouns that were initially verbs but later began to be used as nouns. These words can greatly harm your sentence. There are many examples of such nouns. Terms like implementation, the noun form of the verb implement, and documentation, the noun form of the verb document, serve as good examples. Whenever possible, try to avoid using these words. If you see words ending in ation, ants, mant, mint, ints, or shown, replace them with other words that are not zombie nouns. Flesh-eater words are those that consume the meaning of a sentence. Sometimes, they can even kill the meaning of the sentence. These are long words or groups of words that increase the length of the sentence while diminishing its meaning. For example, consider the sentence, "The Prime Minister will give a speech regarding the issue of corruption." Here, regarding the issue of is a flesh-eater. Instead, you could write, "The Prime Minister will speak against corruption." The use of flesh-eaters is often found in legal documents, which is why people often become completely bored when reading them. Moreover, in our daily lives, we tend to use certain words repeatedly that have become very stale. Such phrases are called stale sentences. Stale means old or unfresh. Sometimes, it can be difficult to avoid using them, but you should try to refrain from using stale sentences. This will make your writing feel more distinct and fresh. Politicians often change the meanings of words, and they do not do this unintentionally. Roger Cohen once said that changing the meanings of words could pose a threat to democracy. He was commenting on Donald Trump, who hastily claimed that the media are the most dishonest people in the world. Donald Trump made this statement after winning his election, using the term landslide. He is not alone in this. Other leaders also manipulate the meanings of words, which over time leads to a shift in their actual meanings. Scottie Nell Hughes, a representative of the Tea Party, said on the Dina Dreyfus Show, "What people perceive as truth is not necessarily the truth." Writers like Hannah Arendt and Jonathan Swift have warned about the dangers of political lies. They highlighted the significant difference between lying to avoid a problem and lying to undermine the power of a truth. Therefore, it is crucial that we write clearly and preserve the correct meanings of these words. We need to be mindful of what each word means and where it is used. For example, you should know when to use effect versus effect. Similarly, you need to exercise caution with continual and continuous, as well as loan and lend. You might be wondering what harm can come from the misuse of words. Let's examine the potential damage. Banks often write the terms of loans that are highly profitable for them in such a way that they are incomprehensible to the reader. They use words that you may have never heard before. If you are unaware of the loan terms, the bank can easily take advantage of you. Additionally, when any new law is enacted, it is often written in language that makes it hard for the reader to understand what the law entails. If people cannot comprehend the law, the government can manipulate it to their advantage. On a larger scale, this type of writing could put people around the world at risk, as they may be forced to adhere to laws or regulations that are twisted to rob them of their homes and money. Barton Swain used to write speeches for politicians. He agreed that leaders often use meaningless language, which is why it is prudent to distance yourself from them before taking any action. However, there are even worse things happening behind the scenes. Political organizations often use language that can discredit the efforts of those working to protect the environment. According to Texas Republicans, climate change is a political agenda for leaders. When the weather is poor, they start promising voters that if elected, they will take action regarding the climate. In 2009, Republicans wrote about a conspiracy against the elderly, labeling it death panels, in which they discussed dismantling the Affordable Care Act. This is how language is being misused today. However, there is always room for improvement. We can make an effort to better the situation on our part. Writing is an art through which we communicate our thoughts to others. Therefore, it is essential to use simple words while writing and to avoid passive voice. We should pay special attention to the important parts of our sentences and ensure that they are written first. By keeping all these points in mind, we can improve our writing skills. Avoid the use of pleonasm. Pleonasm refers to words that are completely unnecessary to use. Some examples include unknown stranger. A stranger is always unknown, so the word unknown is redundant. New beginning. A beginning is always new, so the word new is unnecessary. Circular shape. The word shape is redundant here. Harold Evans emphasizes that unclear and complex language can lead us away from our purpose and create misunderstandings. Whether it's news, government documents, or business contracts, clarity is essential everywhere. Evans teaches us to use simple, precise, and concise language so that our words have a direct impact on our readers. In the end, this book makes us realize that, as writers or speakers, it's our responsibility to use words correctly and eliminate any confusion. Writing is not just an art, it's also a responsibility. And when we prioritize clarity in our writing, we truly make ourselves and our message clear to our readers. If you enjoyed these insights and want to improve your writing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stay connected with us as we continue to bring you more tips and tricks. See you soon with a new summary. Thank you.